Thank you for staying with us. Indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, known for causing conflict in southeastern Nigeria, has been ranked the 10th deadliest group. Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, counsel to the indigenous people of Biafra and its detained leader, Nnamdi Kanu, described the Global Terrorism Index ranking of IPOB as the world's 10th deadliest, as a conspiracy between Nigerian government, its security agencies, and foreign institutions. He described the ranking as a stereotyped, scripted report desperately meant to blackmail and demonize IPOB, insisting that the pro-Biafran group is a non-violent group and vowed that IPOB will challenge the ranking. With us in the studio is Dickson Osajie, an international certified anti-terrorism specialist. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, what are your interpretations of this ranking by the Global Terrorism Index, ranking IPOB as the 10th deadliest group? We recall that in this group began, I think, sometime in 2017 or so, and we are seeing that 5 years down the line, it's been ranked as the 10th deadliest.
Oh yes, I saw the report yesterday, and I was actually surprised because GTI has been carrying out such assessment over the past 10 years. Global Terrorism Index is a subsidiary of Vision for Humanity, and Nigeria has been ranking 5th, 6th, 7th in the past 10 years in the GTI index. Now, coming back to the IPOB, I think I have my own reservation about that ranking, because I have not seen some people in that list. If you look at the index, IPOB carried out a successful 40 attacks. According to the GTI index, successful 40 attacks last year, 57 deaths and 16 injury, compared to that of Boko Haram and ISWAP. ISWAP has about 219 deaths occasioned here in Nigeria, and also Boko Haram 204 deaths. IPOB is the lowest. So ISWAP is number 7 in the index. IPOB, what's it called? Boko Haram number 8, then IPOB number 10. So my cause of worry is this: acceptability rate is what we're checking now. When you talk about terrorism group all over the world take acknowledge their act, their evil act. They take the evil victory, or evil glory, if I may say. But that of IPOB, we have denial here. So if we have denial, how did GTI arrive at that conclusion? Because I'm doing a memo, a letter to them this very week, because we need to understand how they arrive at that, because you don't carry out an assessment based on open source or maybe a human source. You carry out an assessment based on acceptability. For example, all the attacks Boko Haram carried out last year, they all own up to it. The attack Esau carried out, they all own up to it. But that of the IPOB, you see the representative of IPOB says, we did not carry out this attack. They will say, we are not responsible for this attack. So if there is no acceptability rate, I think I will fault that ranking.
Right.
Is it even important what ranking they give it? Is it important?
Yeah, it's very important.
No. What I'm saying is that, is it important? Somebody dies. People's livelihoods are destroyed. Even you say people should not go out and walk. That is even an act of violence.
Oh, sure.
An act of violence every Monday in a whole year, which is at least 52 days in a year. You are not supposed to walk. People accuse you. You have a militant wing called the ESN, which is not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to distribute ice cream to the people. So is it important whether it's sent or not? The point is that, do we accept that IPOB is a violent organization?
Perhaps we also need to understand what's the context of terrorism. What are the indices that makes a group a terrorist group?
Thank you. That's a fantastic question. Globally, there is no universal acceptable definition of terrorism. The person you call a terrorist today sees himself as a freedom fighter. Take, for example, when Boko Haram began in 2009, they see themselves as, they protect themselves, believing that Western education is sin, and they don't want that to come into their territory. Now, in every given situation, you need to look at the causative factors. How did Boko Haram begin? Boko Haram began due to the negligence of the Nigerian state. You know, Muhammad was killed, and when Muhammad was killed, the people said, no, you shouldn't have killed this man. That was how Boko Haram sprang up and, you know, became an international worry. Now, what are the objectives of
when you use the word Muhammad, you have to be careful when you use that word. You're talking of
Muhammad. No, I'm talking about the Boko Haram leader.
Yes. Yusuf.
Muhammad Yusuf,
Yusuf,
yeah, okay. So Muhammad Yusuf, thank you for that. So that, you know, you have to be clear about that. That is the leader of Boko Haram then. So, for me, if you ask me, he rightly said that 52 days a week, people are not going to work every Monday and all those stats. I'm a criminologist by foundation and also an international certified anti-terrorism specialist. Now, when you want to assess an incident, for example, if somebody slapped XYZ person, you don't ask, you need to know why he slapped that person. Now, what are the causative factors? How did IPOB come to being? And if IPOB come to being based on what they are fighting for, maybe they have an objective, and the Nigerian state did not look into that objective, I think that is also a cause for worry. But the use of force by IPOB and their machineries, I think, is condemnable. Because globally, as I rightly said, there is no universal acceptable definition for terrorism. But the FBI has its own definition of terrorism. The use of force by some non-state actors. Now, when we talk about terrorism, there are diverse forms of terrorism. We even have state-sponsored terrorism. We have, other terrorist groups. So on the side of IPOB, the ranking matters. I would not say it doesn't matter. It matters so that it will put country in check. Now, if this ranking doesn't matter, Nigeria will not be in the 8th position. As it stands now, our point there is 8.9. We have about 387 deaths registered on the name of Nigeria. Why Nigeria came 8th, I will tell you, because when IPOB was proscribed as a terrorist group, it's also going to add to our own ranking as well, because each time you rank terrorist group in a given nation, it improves or increases the ranking of that nation in the global terrorism index. So that ranking is very important so that it will put country in check. If you don't rank them, for example, maybe while I was in school, I usually come first, second, or third. If there's no ranking in school, or maybe classification of the results in school, I would not know when I'm doing better, when I'm doing worse. So ranking is very essential in this stage so that it will put nations in check that, hey, these guys are getting out of hand. If you don't put them in check right now, they will become an international terrorist group. But IPOB are not international terrorist group. They are the right-wingers. We classify them right-wingers as it is being prescribed by the federal government. That is domestic terrorist group. So ranking is very essential.
You believe they are a domestic terrorism group?
You say what?
You believe they are a domestic terrorism group?
No, they are prescribed by the Nigerian state.
No, I'm asking you, do you believe they are a domestic terrorism group?
For me, well, the use of force applied by IPOB is an act of terror. So when you apply an act of terror, it's classified as terrorism. So the Nigerian state took them to court, and a court classified them, a court in Nigeria classified them as a terrorist group. So that classification stands because it has not been...
Do you know that it can be said that 52 days in a week that people do not work, each of the day serves as an act of terror. Each day serves as an act of terror. 2, if these people do not create havoc, that's IPOB, they do not create havoc, why would people be afraid of them every Monday? Why?
All right.
It means that the locals know who their enemies are. Okay, they know those who kills them on the road. They know those who slash them, and there are reports. Even when when they officially deny it, there are videos that show them even swaggering at the scene of plunder and of murder. We have seen videos like that.
Well, if you talk about seeing videos, I would disagree with you on that because when it comes to terrorism, terrorism is very complex. When you see videos of scientific evidence or whatever the case may be, does not mean that it's carried out by IPOB. And let me tell you the truth. No terror group in the world denies their act. That is an act of terrorism. Any act of terrorism. Terror groups don't deny their act. When the World Trade Center was bombed in 2001, Al-Qaeda, came out to the world and said, we did it in the face of Americans. Now, before World Trade Center was bombarded in 2001. There was a test shot in 1995 or so where about 146 people were killed by Al-Qaeda on same World Trade Center. Now, coming back to Nigeria...
Tim McVeigh.
You say what?
Tim McVeigh did not until he was the Oklahoma bombing. Tim McVeigh did not accept it until he was...
Oklahoma bombing?
Yes.
Okay.
He did not. And terror does not always mean that you admit it. The World Trade Center thing was denied by Osama bin Laden himself personally, said he didn't do it. He said he didn't do it. So there's also a cowardly aspect. There's also a cowardly.
If he said he didn't do it, why was he running? Why was he running?
No. Because people knew that he did it. Yes. Because people knew that he did it. Intelligence knew that he did it, and we see that happen a number of times. There are many cases where terror act has been done where people did not take responsibility for it. I can't list too many of them. I'll give you a few. But what I'm saying is that we'll be living in denial if we say that IPOB is not central to the rapine. Even the owner, the leader of IPOB has been caught on tape. Using language of terror, saying, go and bomb that place, go and destroy them, mad people everywhere. He said so. Go and kill that man. What are you doing here? Destroy everything. The zoo, go and destroy the zoo.
Yeah, I agree. Act of terrorism. Now I'm talking about the group responsibility. He's
leader of the group. How do you this?
Let's get it clear. He has been in detention for over 18 months.
At the time he made the statement, he wasn't in detention.
He wasn't in detention. Now this ranking is the ranking of 2022. Every ranking ends at the 31st.
Nobody has replaced him. Has anybody replaced him as leader?
Except he's still leading.
Nobody has replaced him as leader.
Except he's still leading.
They're acting on his behalf.
So okay. Now, you see, we are not going to glorify terrorism. It's very wrong for everybody to glorify terrorism because terrorism has come to stay in this planet. And, most times we just believe that when a group can carry out an act of terror, these people are terrorists. In our own individual lives, every day, leadership-wise, we are carrying out terrorism everywhere, every day, anytime. So like he rightly said, terrorism, so most of them will not own up to it. But international terrorist group, they own up to their act. And that is the truth. From all studies, they own up to their act. Then, coming to the side of IPOB, being number 10, I think that number is debatable. Personally, it's debatable. When you go to Afghanistan, for example, the Taliban, let me tell you why. The Taliban, I didn't find them in the list. I have the list with me. I didn't find the Taliban in the list. The Kandahar, is it because the Taliban are now are now governing Afghanistan or whatever the case may be? So for me, I think that list is subject of debate.
But Afghanistan is one of the countries that is
the
number one country.
Yeah, number one country. Yeah, the components are there. The terror group are there. Then the countries are there. Why Nigeria is number 8? As it is now, we have 3 terror groups operating in Nigeria. We have the Islamic State of West Africa province terrorizing Nigeria. We have the Boko Haram, and we have the IPOB in those lists. So Nigeria is, harboring 3 terrorist groups as it stands now, and it's going to really affect us. But as it is, I think the Nigerian government has done well because we've dropped from 5th ranking to 8th ranking, and it's something good to talk about.
Yeah, because they said that terrorism in the country has scaled down.
Yeah, it has.
Despite the fact that we have these 3 terrorist groups within the country. Yeah. What do you think perhaps we are doing to addressing that ensure that we scale down, despite having this number of groups in the country?
Well, if we want to scale down, we need to carry out an effective there are various components. Political components as well is going to play a very big role because during the presidential election or run down to the presidential election, there was not much attack. My own personal observation. I didn't see attack going on in the northeast. I didn't see attack going on in the northwest or whatever the case may be. It seems those guys went on vacation. Immediately after the presidential election, we also see a lot of attacks coming on from some part of the country. So we need to start looking at political components.
We saw attacks in the southeast.
What about attack is that?
Leading to the election, attack on INEC offices, killing of
police
killing
officers.
of the politicians and so on. Even a day to the election, a politician was killed.
Very good. You see, terrorism has we have a various components of terrorism, like I rightly said. Now, those attacks we see going on or taking place, who are responsible? Because here we're not even talking about fifth columnists. We're not even talking about fifth columnists. You know, for example, now I want to discredit you, Vera. There are ways I will use to discredit you. Fifth columnist, nobody's talking about fifth columnist. How well are we sure, how are we so sure that this attack is coming up? That is why most times I want our military intelligence to do so well, or our intelligence agency to do so well to unravel people behind this attack. Because if we don't unravel people behind this attack and make sure that we take them to pass through the process of our criminal justice system, we'll keep on seeing attack from different angles and different places. And you might just think it's a specific group or it's not a specific group. I'm not here to take side of any group, but our intelligence component have a lot to play. Because for me, okay, here in Lagos, we also have some people going to cut away ballot boxes on election day. We saw a lot of people carrying out arms and ammunition on election day. Are you going to tell me those people are terrorist group? You understand what I'm saying? So we have a lot to do here in Nigeria.
Who are victims? To those people who are victims, the terrorist group. Terrorist group. Like they say, yeah. If you say when we were in school, they said the war in the Far East. They said, so I asked the class, you say war in the Far East. Are the people living in the East, the Far East, do they call it Far East? So sometimes you think that like when I was teaching media in school, sometimes you say low intensity, area of low intensity.
Low intensity.
It's low intensity conflict because you are not there. If your child or your wife or your children are in danger, you won't call it low intensity conflict.
No.
So every that's why they say, was it Stanley who said, he said 1,000 deaths is a statistic. 100 deaths is
No, but with all honesty, there are measurements in anything we do. In whatever, even what we eat, there are measurements. The water we drink, we measure it. Security has its own measurement. Are you with me? When you talk about low intensity, high intensity, there are measurements. And that's why you have the low risk, the medium risk, the high risk, and the very high risk. The reason why I have those measurements is to put you in guide, to guide you. For example, now, let's take Lagos, for example. Lagos is a positive state, it's a positive peace state. Positive peace state in the sense that things are going well in Lagos. We have the administration of criminal justice going on. You can move around freely. I left my home around 5 a.m. this morning to meet this interview. That's to tell you that Lagos is a positive peace state, because we have the negative peace and positive peace. There's a difference for you to stay in a state whereby...
A piece of the graveyard.
Negative peace. Negative peace, yeah, we have the negative peace. Negative peace implies that, okay, you are living well, things are going well, but anything can happen at any given time.
That's piece of the graveyard.
Yes, piece of the graveyard. So for me, we need to start looking at terrorism as an holistic approach from both the military point of view and our security agent point of view.
But
and let's not just...
It can be misleading, though. You know,
what's misleading?
Even in Lagos, this idea of measuring,
okay.
it tends sometimes to fall into a tradition in which you look at human beings as what they call it. You put them in boxes. Sometimes you forget the human aspect of it. For instance, during Christmas Day or New Year Day, when the policeman killed a woman and the Lekki corridor and so on, it was Christmas Day. It was one person. But it shows how one story, one individual can resonate more than sometimes 50 people dying. So we must always take cognizance of the fact that one human story is important. That's why I said earlier that, you know, Stalin said 1,000 deaths is a statistic, but one death is a tragedy. Okay. Because you can see the person, you can feel the person cry and so on. And you see the families around them, you know, show pity. So we have to understand all of this when we are talking about terrorism. That's why sometimes when one person is killed, it makes big news. Even in the Southeast, whether in Niger, like the report, there was an attack in Niger State, was it yesterday or 2 days ago or so? There are things like that.
Let me address that point. You're trying to make a point, but I disagree. I disagree in the sense that, yes, you can say one jet can make a tragedy or whatever the case may be. Now, when we talk about security, security is the freedom from danger. It's for you and I to live in a state of peace. It's for you and I to live without being intimidated. Now, when you live in a state of fear, and that is where measurement is very important, so that you don't put fear in the populace. For example, now, like the shooting you talk about the policeman on Christmas Day. If, for example, you just said, this is what happened, the threat rate in Lekki axis is on a high rise, which is not really on a high rise, I think you are misleading the people as well, because when you mislead the people, they will live in a state of fear. So mostly, we must understand first, the objective of security is for you and I to live in a state of peace and not a state of fear. So if we don't carry out such measurement to pass confidence to the public, they will misinterpret that report, and that is why measurement is essential in the area of security. Now, I will tell you, for example, if I'm carrying out a risk assessment here in TVC, I can tell you that the risk assessment in TVC is extremely low. So whoever is coming to TVC for an event or for a program will say, oh, man, you can go to TVC premises, the security there is very tight and effective, the risk is very low, they will go there. But if you carry out an assessment and the assessment is not in line with what is happening within the area of the given incident, then a lot of people will divert that route, take another route, and cause congestion. And at the end of the day,
I agree with you. I'm not saying that measurements are not good. I said that you should be wary of using those measurements as end all of everything. There are contexts in which they are useful. They are useful to make policy. For instance, we're talking about the elections that just ended, the presidential election. Yeah. They said there were irregularities. People would say, okay, we have to measure it because there was still an irregularity in your neighborhood. You don't inflate it to mean there was irregularity everywhere. Yes. So you have to put it in context.
So you agree with measurements, Ali?
No, I'm saying that I'm not saying that measurements are not good.
Oh, okay.
Don't get carried away with measurements because we forget the human element, the human content, which is ultimately the purpose for which we have this measurement. Yeah. You know, was it this man who said, I want facts. Facts. Was it in his book Hard Times? Charles Dickens. A teacher just comes and said, teach these children facts, only facts, nothing else but facts. It was marking a period in European and English history where people were always thinking of data, information. You forget that there are human beings inside.
Well, that's the area of that's where technology comes to play, because most times people fail to understand that, when it comes to terrorism, the first victim in terrorism is not the actual victims, they are governments. Because the whole essence of terrorism is to embarrass the government, is to shame the government, is to destabilize the government. Victims are the direct victim in terrorism studies are the secondary victim. The first victim in any given terror act is the government. But most times, most government don't understand that fact. They just believe that those that were killed were the victim. Actually, they are the victim, the secondary victim. Because terrorist group, they don't know the people they killed. They just come and kill everybody. Those people, they don't offend them. They want to pass a message and shame the government internationally. So in any given situation, government must see themselves as the first victim of terrorism. If we see ourselves as the first victim of terrorism, we'll be able to project necessary factors to mitigate such terror acts and make the Nigerian space a more.
So what kind of response do you expect from the government as it stands now with this ranking?
Okay, now what I expect, the government has done so well decimating Boko Haram, because when this administration came on board in 2015, about 14 local governments were in the hands of Boko Haram and other criminal elements. That is under the classes of insurgency, because there's a clear difference between insurgency and terrorism. Now, insurgency, in the area of insurgency, the government has done extremely well.
All insurgency is terrorism, not all terrorism is insurgency. So that make that clear.
No. Terrorism, when we talk about terrorism is an act of terror. Now, the application of this insurgents, they use an act of terror to carry out their own act. And insurgents, what they do, they take over territories.
So you are saying the same thing.
Yeah, they take over
all insurgency is terrorism.
Yeah. So
terrorism is...
So that is what I'm trying to explain. So government must see themselves as first victim. So like your question, the question you asked, what government should start doing is that they need to start building our military capability, because the response to terrorism are military might, police might, and the political might as well. So government needs to start building our military capability, because any given nation in the world, Americans say they are world powers, Russia said they are world powers, they build their mights from the military. Without military might, I don't think you have that capability to engage these guys with fire and fury and speed and momentum. So government should start looking at military might as well. They will also start looking at political applications and also administrative application of our policies and our procedures. Most of these guys, what happens to them? Most of these guys that are actually caught in acts of terror. What is in the area of administration of criminal justice system? What is happening? Because most of these guys, when you get them, they pass through the criminal justice system. That is the police, the court, and the prison. Now, the reformation process. What are the reformation process? If need be, we need to give them time for repentance, because most time we hear repentant Boko Haram and everything. For you to call a terrorist repentant terrorist, I think it's wayward to me, because what is the measurement? What do you use to ascertain their repentance? These are people that take human life, eliminate human lives, and we discover that most of them that go to prison come out more hardened of a criticism. That's the area of recidivism. So we need to start looking at also our prison system as well and our reformative system. If we have an effective reformative system, then most of these guys that are repented, truly repented, go through the criminal justice system, come back and be projected into society. So if we don't project reasonable, repentant guys into society, they'll be giving information back to their former cell, and the Nigerian public is going to suffer more terror acts.
Is this report on IPOB saying that it's the 10th deadliest?
Yeah.
It's not a way of saying we got you. You think you are clever, but we know what you are doing.
By who? Who says so? GTI?
Yes, GTI.
Well, GTI carry out their measurement on 4 components, you know. They carry out their measurement on your methodology of attack. They carry out their measurement components on number of death, number of injury, and number of people that are attacked within a given state, whatever the case may be. That is the 4 components GTI uses in carry out their, what's it called, measurement. And also their source of information are from reasonable, like we are here this morning. Anytime you read news about terrorist group, GTI take note of it. They don't just say yes, say, yes, say. They go to the Nigerian newspaper, Punch newspaper, or other newspapers, carry out their measurement from there and check those statistics, because they are not physically on ground to ascertain the true.
But you said earlier that you had concerns with getting information from open source.
Yeah.
With regards to how they get their measurement and information.
Yeah.
So what is the aspect of that you have concerns with?
Yeah, where I have concerns with is this now. They claim that they got their information from open source. Like if you read the report, I have the report here. They have it from open source. Now, open source, it could be from me. We know we have a lot of media. One of the problems we also have in Nigeria is media terrorism as well, whereby most of these online reports will just carry out a story and just spring it out. That's where I have problem with. But if these guys come on board and say, okay, this is how we got our information. They mention all the names of the reputable TV stations and all the reputable papers we have in Nigeria. I think I will not have issues with that. But what they claim is that they have the information based on open source. Open source could be me. I could just do a live video and start crying. They've killed everybody here. It is IPOB that are responsible. Perhaps maybe it might be another group of people that are responsible. So that's where we have issues, and that's why I'm calling from intelligence investigation of most of the actions being
one of the problems people have, especially in the South, is that some people say that there are some groups, and IPOB has said this too, who are copycat terrorists and so on, that some of these attacks are not by IPOB, but that groups who are exploiting IPOB for doing so. I think whether it is a copycat, there cannot be a copycat unless there's a copy.
So there's an existing
yes,
for it to be copied.
Yes.
Okay, that's nice.
That you cannot have a fake unless you have the original.
There's an existing original.
Yeah. So by being in existence, IPOB itself has created a mini monster. If IPOB is the monster, it has created a mini monster, which it cannot control.
All right. Let's quickly go, before you respond, let's quickly go on a commercial break. When we return, you respond to that and we'll wrap up the conversation. All right, stay with us.
Moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind, and indulge. Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate.
Now available in 30 grams and 450 grams.
Hey, Charles.
It's so hot, Auntie. You'll get used to it.
Yay!
What's the big deal? It's just a cereal.
Just a cereal? You're talking about something that has helped thousands of Niger farmers provide for their families for decades. This cereal, we have enjoyed it for so long. It's part of our history.
Is that you?
And it's packed with the energy and nutrition that I know my family needs every day. That's why Golden Morn is so special to us. You get it?
Keep enjoying Niger's favorite breakfast cereal fortified with Grain Smart, a special combination of iron and vitamins to help your family make every day golden.
I get it now.
Nestle. Good food, good life.
Thank you for staying with us. We've been speaking with Dickson Osajie, an international certified anti-terrorism specialist. Behind the scene, you were talking about the concerns you had. You were supposed to respond to Sam's question before we went on the break, and then also respond to the matter of how IPOB was proscribed, if it met international standards and all of it. Now, let's have that. Then we'll wrap things up. Yeah.
Okay, for me, they started as an agitation. Are you with me? And I think if you play back, maybe some of your tape, you saw what transpired during that period of time. I'm a Nigerian, and I believe in the sovereignty, sovereignty of Nigeria. So I think personally, the proscription process of IPOB is very wrong. Was very wrong. Because before you proscribe some people or group of people as storage group, what is the foundation of their existence? What came about IPOB? How did it come about? How did they come about? And what transpired? Did they start their acts with terrorism?
All right.
Or did they start their acts? Did they start their acts with a peaceful movement? How did they start? So there are a lot of things to be handled. Because of time,
we'll have to leave things here because we need to.
You want to justify the violence?
No, it's not justification of violence.
Dickson
It's the existence. They are trying to check
international
the foundation.